Hello and welcome to another First Impressions review with myself, Amata. We are here having a look at Overwatch, which of course had a fairly lengthy closed beta and a fairly short open beta period in which we all got rather hyped up about the game. But now the game is officially out, so I thought I'd give my final opinions, well not my final opinions, my early opinions on the game based on a fairly lengthy amount of time in the open beta, and I've been playing it a little bit since it came out. So let us have a gander at the options before we go into anything else. So, as you can see, you can change your display in-game, which is really nice. You've got full screen, windowed and borderless. You've also got 16:9 and 16:10 aspect ratio options, as well as, of course, field of view, very important, only goes up to 103. Would be nice if they go a little higher, but still not bad. VSync on or off, of course, triple buffering, and performance stats, which you can see, temperature, ping, and of course FPS. I keep that on mostly to keep an eye on my ping. I have had a little bit of a problem with getting synced up with games that have an inordinately high ping. I'm talking like in the hundreds, and it's been unplayable. Now, as you can see, I've got it set to high for the moment, and that is purely down to my system. It can run it at Epic at 60, but I have noticed some pretty high temperatures on my end. I am actually in the process of replacing my CPU cooler, so I have set it to high just to make sure that my CPU isn't getting fried, because it's been getting far too high when it's set to Epic, even though it runs it fine, which is a bit strange, but never mind. The game still looks good, and of course you've got FPS limits as well. Now, here we go. We have render scale. Ooh, so it's 100.41% for some reason, so they've changed that down. Texture quality, low, medium, high, and of course you've got all of this as well. Texture filtering, dynamic reflections, we can probably turn that up to medium. And just 1x resolution, ambient occlusion, local reflections, and you've even got some colorblind options, which is nice. And you've got various options for colour blindness here. I'm obviously not colourblind, so I'm not going to touch that, but it's always nice to see that included in games. So you've got sound here, as you can see. You can turn the voice chat completely off if you want. Got push to talk or open mic. Obviously push to talk is most sensible, and you can turn off joining the voice chat for now. I've got it off just because I've just been kind of playing late at night and don't want to keep people up with me talking over the microphone, but obviously if you want a real team play, then you should maybe turn that on. I've just kept that off for recording purposes for now. So, and naturally you've got all your options here for your mouse. Sensitivity, invert look, has horizontal and vertical sensitivity separate, which is nice. And you've got bloom on the reticle, as well as being able to change the reticle type, which is quite nice, as well as the reticle color. And of course you can rebind your keys and set alternate keys as well. Why is crouch? I said that's left control as well. Ah, okay. Might be better just have that as it was, yeah. But you've got some fairly decent options here, as you would expect, and you can also spectate as well. Few other bits as well. So, gameplay, you can skip the kill cam if you want. You can turn the kill feed on or off. I keep it on because it's actually useful information about, you know, who killed who, that sort of thing. So, you know, if there's a character that's kind of getting annoying, the fact that they've been killed is very useful information, and you have all sorts of options here as well. Also, social profanity filter off, and that sort of thing. So a fairly robust set of options available. The only thing I would really like added is the option in, say, network or something like that, to have a limit as to how high the ping can go, because as I said, for some reason I keep getting put in matches that have inordinately high ping. Like one match it'll be unplayably bad, and you know, I'll stay because you get penalised for quitting, and then leave as soon as the match is over, and hopefully just cross my fingers and hope that I get a more reasonable ping the next game. And sometimes it takes me a couple of matches to find a decent one, so it would be nice if you could limit that to, you know, sort of your reasonable threshold. So that would be the only thing that I would really say that you should add here. Now, before we get into some gameplay, which will be all pre-recorded and I'll talk over it, I'm going to show you the various things. You've got a tutorial here, which is basically, you know, the basic mechanics of it, but of course I'll go through it, practice range and versus AI. practice range is not super useful, to be honest. I have only ever used it when I just want to test out a new character really quickly to see what their moves do, that sort of thing. Practice versus AI is actually fairly useful if you want to actually learn a hero without sort of annoying your teammates, I suppose. So these two, you know, I would recommend if you're unfamiliar, but you could probably grasp it just from playing in the practice range. But, you know, some more options would be nice, but this is decent enough. Practice versus AI is definitely appreciated. And of course you've got all your heroes here, and you've got all your unlocks available here as well. So for example, if I take a look at Zenyatta, I've unlocked not much. I haven't unlocked a skin or anything cool. I've unlocked a spray for him, so I could do that, and I could equip that if I want. As you can see, there's a crazy amount of sprays and stuff that you can unlock for each hero, as well as, of course, voice lines for each character as well. So the amount of customization you could do is actually pretty insane, as you can see. I mean, let me show you the one. I know I've unlocked a skin for Junkrat here. That's my one that I've unlocked. The classic one looks like that. And that's that one. But you can also see what these ones look like as well. So for example, the Jailbird skin is pretty nice. I would actually like that. And yeah. So I've only unlocked that. This is the only skin that I've unlocked so far. Everything else is just sprays, which is not really that interesting. But, you know, it's stuff to unlock, I guess. And here is where you can buy loot boxes. As you can see, I've got in-game currency, which you can get by playing the game. And you can buy loot boxes here as well as a few other bits. So I think that's everything. Oh, you can see all my stats here as well. I'm not particularly great at this game. I've not played it for huge amounts of time. As you can see, I've played the most as Zenyatta, but I literally just started playing Reinhardt, as you can see. As you can see, I've only played for a couple of hours at the time of recording. So let us move on from here to pre-recorded footage, in which I will go through my opinions and all that good stuff. Now, as anyone knows, the main thing about Overwatch is that it's an objective-based multiplayer game in which the heroes all have cooldown-based abilities, as well as, of course, a main gun, or in some cases, a main melee weapon. At the time of recording, which of course, as I said before, is just a couple of days after release, there are 4 main modes available. You have Escort, Assault, Hybrid, and Control. Now, Escort is pretty much what it says on the tin. If you are the attacking team, you must move a payload to a delivery point, whereas if you are defending, you must halt the progress of the attackers until time runs out. Assault is which you must attack or defend various capture points across the map. Both teams battle over control of the map, one on offense, one on defense. So pretty much what it says on the tin: if you're attacking, the goal is to capture a critical objective, and the defenders must maintain control until time runs out. Hybrid starts with Assault and ends with Escort, and these two parts behave exactly as you'd expect. And in Control, you fight over a series of objective areas in a best-of-3 format. When a team is in control of the objective area, they will make progress towards capturing it, and whichever team gets to 100% first will get the round. And if you win all 3 rounds, with each part being located in a different part of the map, then of course the victory will go to you, or best 2 out of 3, don't have to win all 3. 2 out of 3 of course will win, but it can go to 3 if of course it is a very back and forth match. Now each of these have their own maps. You have Escort has Watchpoint Gibraltar, Dorado, Route 66 rather. Assault has Hanamura, Temple of Anubis and Volsky Industries, and Hybrid has Kings Row, Numbani and Hollywood. And Control is Lijiang, Tower, Nepal and Ilois, or Ilois, depending on your pronunciation. So there are quite a variety of maps available and a fair variety of modes, although the modes are very similar, which is the main criticism I have of this game at launch, is that the modes are basically push, cart, or defend, or attack, basically. And they're kind of varied and spiced up in a few ways, but they all have that basic thing. either escorting the payload, trying to stop the payload, or attacking or defending a point, a mix of both, or playing control. That's not to say these modes aren't fun, they very much are, and they're very much different from your usual sort of team deathmatch kind of style. I mean, I suppose defending is, similar to modes that we've had in the past, but there are some interesting ideas at play here. It's just more that the amount of modes available is probably the main criticism for Overwatch at this state in the game. However, the map variety is definitely something that I enjoy, and not only are the maps varied, each map is unique and colourful and has quite a lot of sort of exploits and different routes that you can take. So say for example that you're trying to attack a point, the defending team, if they're smart, will probably have someone like Bastion or Reinhardt. Reinhardt is a tank and Bastion can kind of be that as well, or more of a support where they can kind of become like a living turret or have a tank mode available. And that can be a pain to get around, so you'll want to take a different route and maybe come around them from the other side, and the map has a lot of options to do that in a lot of areas. Not always, sometimes there will just be one main path, especially if you're nearing the end of the game, but for a lot of it there will be sort of different routes. You can go up the stairs, approach from above, or go around the side and approach from behind, or from the side even. So having lots of map awareness and exploring different routes is definitely something that's encouraged in the various modes of Overwatch, and something that is very useful if you're a faster character like, say, Tracer for example, which is one of the characters I have been playing a lot of, where you can kind of go around the obstacle of, say, Bastion or Reinhardt and try and get around their high health and shields that way by just not facing them directly and kind of zipping around and doing that sort of thing. And obviously that applies to all sorts of the other characters as well, where you either want to go around them or you want to try and work together as a team to kind of break through that defense, which is something you definitely have to do if they are all bottled up at the defending point, which they tend to do. The whole team will be on the point, and it can be very hard to break unless you work together as a team. And team play is vital here. Now, it's not to say that one bad player will bring you down, because that's not true. And I think that's why I enjoy Overwatch so much. I should probably say that usually the fastest way to make me fall asleep is to say multiplayer focused FPS. Usually I don't find these games interesting at all, but after so much hype about Overwatch, I thought, I might as well try the open beta. It looks fun, judging from all the streams and everything else that I've seen, so I give it a bash. Why not? It's free, I said. And I was pleasantly and genuinely surprised at how much fun this game actually is. And I think that's because of the huge amount of variety you have in the heroes and the maps, and just how much it is encouraged that you actually work as a team and you actually have an objective other than kill everybody, which is pretty nice. I usually don't find much interest in, say, a team deathmatch multiplayer mode, just for example. But Overwatch I've been really enjoying, and really enjoying trying all the different heroes, which have very distinct differences, and they all benefit different play styles. Even different tanks will have different play styles from each other. For example, I've played a fair bit of Winston, and I've been playing Reinhardt today. And even though these are both tank characters, they are very much different in their play style. And that is something that is very much true for all of the Overwatch characters. Even the sort of attacking heroes will all have their own powers and abilities that make them very different from each other, and the same for support and that sort of thing. So for example, I've been playing Zenyatta, which is one of the main healers in the game, and he will play very different to, say, Mercy, the other healer in the game. So that is the game's true strength, I think, and why this makes it so enjoyable. Because the game encourages you to switch out your hero mid-game. This is not a game where you pick that one character and you play them the whole way, mostly. The game very much encourages you to, hey, if this team is crushing you with their team composition, you should change hero and try and counter what they have. So that, in combination with the map variety and that sort of thing, as well as the sheer amount of heroes, you can very much try and play around what the other team is doing by switching characters and trying to counter what they have, and then of course they will change and counter your new composition. So each game is very fluid and rapidly changing, and you have to really keep on top. Now, I said mostly earlier that this game is very much based on you have to change heroes, you have to stay on your toes, unless you're the only tank in the game. that's kind of what I found in my short time playing Reinhardt, and even when I was playing Winston, is I wanted to spend pretty much the whole game as that character because, well, I was the only tank. So if I change, then suddenly we have no tank, and we're all very squishy. And while it's not the end of the world, it is definitely a bit of a sort of hamstring on your team if you're playing a tank. Now you can probably do without a tank, but it's even worse when you're playing as the healer. If you don't have a healer, again, not the end of the world, but it is definitely a big hamper on your team's performance if, of course, they're dying left and right because no one is healing them. And having a good healer and having a good tank is definitely vital. In fact, the main reason I started playing as Zenyatta is because no one wanted to take the healer. They all wanted to be Mr. Hero Shooty Man. So I was like, alright, cool, I'll give Zenyatta a try. I tried Mercy, really didn't like her at all. I just did not gel with me at all. But Zenyatta I actually really enjoyed, so it's not like I mind, you know, I enjoy playing in Zenyatta, I would actually consider him one of my mains, but it was more that the reason I chose him at all is because no one else wanted to take the healer, and I was like, well, we kind of need one, so that's not really an issue. It's probably just people still sort of stuck in the usual mindset of, hey, I want to play this character that I like. You know, it's a little bit something to get used to, that you are actively encouraged to be fluid. You don't want to be stuck in the same character. You want to think about what the team is doing, what character can counteract them. So the game actively encourages you to think outside your usual comfort zone of what you like to play and try different characters and that sort of thing. Now, normally I wouldn't even consider playing a healer or a tank, but that's actually what I've been playing the most of since I discovered how fun they were, because, you know, they are vital for the team composition. So it's probably just sort of growing pains, but I have noticed that the reluctance to be a healer or a tank is definitely something that I've encountered a lot, and there will usually be someone in the chat saying, hey, can someone take tank? And I'm just like, I really want to play Tracer this round, but okay, I'll change if no one else will do it. Maybe this will change as time goes on. It probably is just growing pains as we get used to this different style of game. As I said, usually you pick your loadout or whatever and you stick with that the whole game. This is not that type of game. You have to think on your toes, you have to say, okay, what are they doing? So overall, my impressions of Overwatch are that it is really, really fun. And as I said before, I don't usually enjoy multiplayer-only games. I find them, excuse me, fairly boring. And I'm usually a very story-focused person. You know, it doesn't necessarily have an amazing story. I just want a single-player campaign where I'm going towards a single goal or whatever, and progress towards that throughout the story, meet interesting characters and that sort of thing. And while this game doesn't have an overt story, it has a kind of story in the background with how the characters interact with each other, and the characters themselves are interesting even though you're not interacting with them rather in a traditional story sense. So say for example you have a Widowmaker and a Tracer on the same team. Widowmaker has a few times now said, oh, looks like we're working together, or something along those lines, and Tracer will say, oh, don't think I'm happy about that. So there's obviously some history going on there, and you can probably get more hints as to what that is, and there's all sorts of hints as to the world and the overarching story in the game maps themselves, and the world feels fleshed out. All these little hints as to what's going on, and there's little story bits scattered around the map and in the characters themselves and how they speak to each other and all that, and that is how the story is delivered to you. It's very sort of behind the scenes storytelling, but it is there, which I think definitely adds a depth of intrigue and interest in this world that Blizzard have created for us, and that definitely helps this game be more interesting, I suppose. And obviously on PC this game is cheaper than it is on console, and I am of course looking at the PC version. The console version is $60, whereas the standard PC version is £30, which would, if it was the $60 price tag, would be about 45 or ish. And there is an Origins edition, which gives you a load of extra stuff of the PC version, but it gives you extra stuff. So there is a cheaper version, which is the one I'm playing. For that money, I would say 100% Overwatch is worth your money. It has a lot to offer already at launch, and I'm sure there's going to be more maps and more characters coming later on. And there are microtransactions in the game. However, they are completely and utterly cosmetic and optional. basically you can buy those loot boxes that I was talking about earlier, and they give you random drops. Now I'm sure that the bought loot boxes will have a higher chance for something good, but even if you get something good, it's just a cool skin at the end of the day. If you want to buy that, then go for it. It has literally no impact on anything. And since Blizzard cannot do characters or maps in this game, because of the nature of how you have to switch characters, they can't lock characters behind DLC walls, because that will literally that will cripple your team. If you want to have this character but you can't because it's DLC, that can't work for this game. So they had to do something cosmetic, and I have no problem with how they've done it. Usually I detest microtransaction in a full price game, but because they have very much limited choice in how they're going to do DLC for this game, then this is pretty much their only option, and if it keeps this game going, keeps the servers ticking over, I have no issue with it, and it is completely and utterly optional. You can buy all the stuff with in-game currency, or you can just unlock it as you play. As I said, it's all optional and cosmetic anyway, has zero effect on gameplay, and as long as it stays that way, then I have no issue with it. So, overall thoughts on Overwatch is it's fantastic. Some small bugbears, as I said, the variety of modes could use some work. I hope we get some more game modes as time goes on, and I hope that as time goes on people get more of a feel for, hey, we need a varied team and that sort of thing. There's still a bit of, hey, I want to play this character because I enjoy them and they won't switch kind of thing. And again, I played a healer and tank because no one else would, because of that attitude. Now, not like I mind, as I said, I find them actually quite fun, and I've been, happy to play them. But I'm just saying that, there is definitely an attitude of you have to be really fluid, as I talked about quite a bit earlier. But overall, I really enjoy it. Maps are varied and interesting. They, as I said, deliver some of the story to you in a kind of sort of drip-fed, in the background kind of way. And not only that, they are well designed. There are all sorts of alleys and avenues for you to take. You can attack from above, attack from the side, you can go around, attack from the back. And they definitely encourage you to think on your feet and not just go for the blunt force, hey, I'm going to attack the front approach. There's very much a benefit to switching to a faster character and heck, being all this Reinhardt or whatever is getting on my nerves. I'm going to go around and get behind his shield and that sort of thing. And it's very much encouraged, as well as working together as a team. And even though you might have a weaker player or two, a well-organised team can definitely overcome that, and can definitely work together to overcome the opponent's team as well. So overall, I would definitely recommend Overwatch at launch if you're at all interested in FPS. As I said, it is not a traditional FPS, as we already know. Each character has one weapon, maybe an alt fire if you're doing well, as well as cooldown based abilities, and they are all very varied with all their own backstories and that sort of different play styles as well. So this is a game that encourages you to explore these different characters and explore these different maps, and has a lot to offer under the hood. So, a recommendation of Overwatch from me. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Do remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. It does help out a great deal, and we do appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching again. I'll see you next time.